Hello, I'm making the square scramble sweater I'm in the process of, and it's by the Hat and I, designs by Marken. I got it off of Etsy, and it's also available on Ravelry, and I love it. But it is a little complicated to put together. So what I did was got a tri-fold presentation board from Walmart, and I laid it out on top of some foam core so I could push pins through. See the holes there? And what I've done is I laid out all the pieces all over in the design that I wanted, and there's some handy patterns in the book. I'll quickly turn to a page and show you. The pattern has everything you need. So, for example, there's the layout, and the squares correspond. A 3-ring binder is fantastic to organize all your pages. But I've got all of my squares laid out the way I wanted them to, and you can see there's a break in between here, you know, the white space. That's because these are all sewn together now, mostly. There are a couple spots where I have to wait till I get more of a vertical long stretch to do. But as you can see, they've got lots of little intersections that you've got to be sewing, and it's almost impossible to do this on your lap because it is so complicated when you have your design in order. So what I did was I laid it flat on the table. I got some of these handy dandy little bent nosed plastic needles, because that way everything can lay flat on the table and I can be stitching while it's laying flat or fairly flat. You can't do that with a regular needle very easily, but once it's flat on the table, it's amazing how fast you can go. The pencils mark where the armholes are going to be, just to remind myself. And I'm going to be sewing together these three pieces right here at the end of this video to show you how I did the intersections, because it's a little complicated. It's easy when you have something like 4 corners to put together. That's your standard granny square attaching. But when you've got 3 that don't line up at a corner, it gets a little tricky. How do you place your stitches? I'm using the ladder stitch or the mattress stitch, whatever you want to call it, through the back loops of the single crochet edges, and tacking them down, like I say, with a lot of push pins. You can see I've got, once I have them in place, I've just got some push pins just gently in there to hold them while I pick a couple up and work on them. You'll need some stitch markers or little scissors, lots of push pins, a big old presentation board to lay it all out on. And I'm telling you, that has been a lifesaver. I can be standing at one end, I can move it around, I can slide it, I can lift things up, move them around, rearrange. And it's just the best system I have found to keep it organized. Like I say, it's really hard to do it from a box or a bag onto your lap. You've got to be able to see your pieces together. So upcoming next is the how I put those little 3 pieces together as an example, because it took me a while to figure that out. Because you just can't, like a granny square design quilt, plain granny squares, you know, you go all the way down, then you do your cross pieces. But with this one, it's kind of harder to figure out where you're going to be going and how to attach those little things. So maybe this following video, the following part of this video will help you out if you are tackling this project. And I do highly recommend it. It's a wonderful, wonderful sweater design. Oh, and I am using, let me grab a skein. I am using Red Heart, Roll With It, and the color is Catwalk. Somewhere it says it. course, I can't find it now. You can spot it faster than me, probably. Up there. There it is. Catwalk. Okay. Stay tuned for the actual stitching. What I'm going to demonstrate is how I put some squares together using the ladder stitch or the mattress stitch. What to do as you're approaching to an intersection where you've got 3 corners, or a side and 2 corners to attach. So I'm going to start with the bottom here. And as you can see, I've started, got 1 stitch there. I go in the same hole that the stitch came out of on that side. I'm going back in that same hole, and I'm coming up through the stitch next to it. So the yarn kind of crisscrosses over top my needle, just like that. Pull through. I don't have to pull through real tight, just enough there. Now I'm going to go back over to this side, and I'm going to go in the same hole where that yarn is coming out. Where that yarn came out, I'm going down in, and I'm going to come up through the next stitch. So you can see it crisscrosses on top. Pull that through. You can see how my stitches are starting to make a ladder. Come back over to the side, go in the stitch where that thread passed through, and go right up through there into the second stitch, into the other stitch. Go back to this one. So this isn't really a demonstration on how to make the ladder stitch. I'm assuming I remember how to do it, but it's just to get to the intersection where I can show how you attach the next piece, because it's not at a corner like most granny squares are. This is actually like a perpendicular intersection. Now, as you can see, I've got the stitches kind of loose like that. I'm going to hold this end down here, and I'm going to pull to tighten them up. And you'll see they just magically close right up. So I'll just keep going. It looks like it's okay. Now, here we go. This is the good part. Skip to the good part. I'm going to go up through that stitch where I just came out of, go back into that stitch where I just came out of, into the next stitch, back and forth, and then when I get over here, I'm now going to attach this one. And I'm going to do that by going like the pattern called, go back through the stitch I just came out of, and now this time I'm going to go into the chain, the second chain over here, which starts off this stitch. I'm going in the back side of it right there. So those are the 2 stitches I'm going to put together. Tighten that up a little bit. And then I'm going to keep going. Going back to the other side, to the stitch where I came out of, which is right there. Go up to the next one. And because I'm going in that direction, I'm not going to go up this way with my attaching. I'm just going to stay right on the side. That's the stitch, the chain stitch there in the corner that thread came out of, that yarn came out of. So I'm going to go into that one and up through the next stitch. Come back over here. Go through that one. Back and forth, making my little ladder rungs. You can see there's the yarn that just came out. There's a good example of the crisscross that you're going to look for when you thread your needle through. Back up through there. up through, starting from underneath and coming up. Over here, we're going to go in and come up. In and come up. I'm going to give that a little tug because I like to keep things only about 5 stitches before I tighten up. Get a little stretch back out to make sure. You can see how tight that's going to be. The stitches all keep in a line, and then my next run will be right up here, and I'll be using those stitches. So my stitches going back up will be the outer ones like that, going up here. So let me finish this up right here. And then I can move on. Stitch right to there. Pull it to tighten up, to close those stitches up, and now I'm ready to do those pieces.